we got to talk about working with Christopher Nolan. We got to
Yeah.
talk about Dark Knight. Got to talk about Dark Knight Rises. So because that's coming off of, or right around, yeah, it's coming off of Lost. After Lost, so you had really, as I mentioned to you, I heard the journey, and you get this role on Lost, and it kind of reignites or kind of really pushes you in the forefront of your career. And tell me about getting the role in The Dark Knight, and then when you're getting this role, because and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your wife was involved in Batman in some way or another too. Am I wrong?
She voiced the character in the cartoon Ink. She
Okay.
voiced, so she did voiceover work.
Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, we have some Batman in our family. You know, she was Ink. I was Batman. Well, I this you'll like maybe. I was really bad Batman when I was starting out here at a birthday party, and I remember this is like one of those one of the jobs that like a buddy of mine was doing it. He was doing birthday parties, and I was like, you're doing it? He goes, yeah, they pay pretty well. They tip you well. And I go, okay, great. Maybe I should give it a crack. And you got to learn balloon animals and all this stuff. And I was horrible at that party, and I almost left in tears. And the kids made fun of my utility belt.
Man.
Anyway, it was a disaster. So I had to somehow redeem myself. If it wasn't Batman, well, is hopefully to get on one of Chris Nolan's amazing movies. But the way that worked out is I auditioned for Chris. I'll tell you what happened. This is actually quite interesting, and hopefully this appeals to people outside of the business as well, in terms of how things work, and how life can give you curveballs and unexpected surprises. But I had done a movie called Smoking Aces. And it hadn't been released, but it was a really interesting character that I had never played before. And so then I went on and I got Lost. And then while I was doing Lost, I had this audition come in, and it was for Chris Nolan's movie. I had like one night to work on it. The next morning I was there reading for Chris and Emma, his wife and producer, and I thought it went okay, but I didn't know, and then I didn't hear anything. I said, well, it obviously didn't happen. And then I was in the jungle in Hawaii, in Oahu, shooting a scene with Michael Emerson, and I happened to have it was a flip phone at the time. I had my flip phone, and for whatever reason, I decided to look at it, and it was a call from my manager, and I go, I wonder what he wants. And he's like, hey, so they want to see tape on you for Chris Nolan's movie. This is like 3 months after I read. And then I go, really? I go, for what movie though? Because I figured they already shot it and whatever.
Right.
And he goes, the Batman movie, The Dark Knight. And then I go, really? Wow. I thought that was gone. He goes, no. So I said, well, why don't you see if we can get tape from Smoking Aces from Joe Carnahan, who directed it at Universal, because that's the most recent stuff. And so Joe Carnahan kindly was able to release those scenes to Chris Nolan, and the next day I got the offer. So it's just wild how things can work out, and and when in the most unexpected places.